All right, everyone, welcome to Forex for Beginners. Sorry for the delay. We do this call weekly. And first, we want to say be sure to plug into your back office. Coach Max has done a phenomenal job of giving just so much value back there in the back office. And then we're also a part of Coach Max and Ryan's downline, better known as Dynasty Exchange or DX. So for all active members, just make sure you check your email, and because all of the Telegram groups have changed, make sure you're plugged into the Dynasty Exchange Facebook group, and they have a full schedule of classes throughout the week. And then we're here as part of Donald's downline, Impact Over Profit, and we have additional classes as well. We have Savvy on the call, and Savvy does her Saturday class. And let me just brag on her. I was on last Saturday's class this past Saturday, and it was excellent. It was everything you wanted to know about Tradingview, all the advanced tips and tricks, and just I really enjoyed it. It was very thorough. So Savvy, if you don't mind, can you drop your YouTube link in the chat for those who don't have it?
Sure, I'll put it in there.
Awesome. Be sure you check out Saturday's class. It was very informative. Things in Tradingview, they're easy once you know how to do them, but it's not very intuitive. A lot of those tips and tricks you just don't really figure out on your own. So that class was super helpful to figure out all the things. Maybe you've been on the Epic Live classes and you've seen traders use certain tools and you weren't quite sure. So check out that video, and it should answer all the questions that you have. So what we've been doing for the past few weeks is chart markups, going into Tradingview, and the goal is for everyone to be able to, whether you're beginner, intermediate, no matter where you are in your trading path, we want everyone to be able to pull up Tradingview, look at your favorite 1 to 3 pairs, and be able to do beginning analysis and eventually be able to take your own signal. We want to just kind of show you how simple that process can be. Just from having my own team and just from communicating with people, we can just tell that there are a lot of people who are not really doing this step. You don't really feel comfortable bringing up Tradingview on your own. So we want to kind of take all the fog away and show you how it's not that bad, and that you can be well on your way. Even if you don't want to call your own signals, if you're taking signals, how cool would it be to pull up the pair? Let's say an EU sell was called. How cool would it be to be able to pull up Tradingview, pull up EU, Euro USD, and take a look and be able to judge for yourself? Yeah, I think this is a signal that I should take. So Tradingview is very empowering, and we want you all to feel powerful, even if you're just learning and you're at the beginning. We want you to feel like you're making progress. So to me, Tradingview is one of the biggest steps that you can take. And it's a step that I think a lot of us have not taken. And so we just kind of want to take all the complicated parts away from that and empower you and make you feel like you can actually do this. So that was a pretty long introduction, but basically we'll have about, a half-hour class, maybe a little less, but we just want to pull up. We've been looking at Euro USD. I think last week we did AJ, AUD, JPY, but we just want to show you what you can do if this is your pair, or what steps you would take for analyzing your own pair. So this is my chart, and I always say, if you're not familiar with those, you can right click on setting. And here, my bullish or candles that are going up will be shown in this teal blue color, and my bearish or candles that are going down will be shown in this purple. But feel free to customize Tradingview to your liking, or leave it in the traditional green for up bullish candles and red for down or bearish candles. Okay. So here in the upper left-hand corner, Euro USD, that's where you type in the pair that you're looking for. You can also call it asset. And for Euro USD, these are just various brokers. For the most part, I tend to use Oanda and FXCM, but typically you can pull up any of these. Oanda and FXCM are the most popular ones. There is some difference in how they show their candles, so I tend to use the more popular brokers for the Forex pairs. So once you type in Euro USD here in the top left, the only other thing you need to do is select your time frame. So in the back office, it'll tell you how to do a full top-down analysis. We're just going to show you how to do your beginner analysis here on the 1 hour, just to keep it kind of short and sweet. And so the other thing that you want to make sure you can do, and this is good even if you have a free account, you get, I believe it's I think you get up to 3 alerts on a free Tradingview account. There are paid levels that allows you to have additional indicators. You can see I have quite a list here, as well as alerts, which we'll talk about as well. But let me show you the 2 moving averages that I have here on the chart. So the yellow is the 200 moving average, and the sort of teal or aqua blue, that is the 50 moving average. Actually, it's an exponential moving average. So I want to show you a really cool indicator that allows you to choose multiple moving averages in one indicator. So it's called the FOREX LG EMA setup. So click on this F icon. This is how you add all the indicators to your chart. And here's where you would type in FOREX LG. And here it is, EMA setup. So you want to click on the blue part of the title. Be sure that you don't click over here because that's the author and it's going to bring up another website. So that part's a little tricky. Just click on the blue link that's in the title and that will add it here on your chart. And just to review these icons, if you want to hide it, a lot of times maybe it could be blocking a candle, so you may want to get a better view. You can temporarily hide it or show with that eye icon. And then you have your settings. So if you look at inputs, these are all the EMAs, all the moving averages that we can show on this chart. So you can have quite a few. We're only going to be interested in 2. So here in style, I'm going to have the 2 that I want selected. For some reason, the 50 and the 200 have nicknames. The 50 is the water. The Mayo is the 200. So if you can see 1, 2, 3, I have the 4th and 5th selected. So under inputs, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're showing the 50 moving average and the 200. If you wanted a different one that wasn't listed, just go ahead and type it in and make sure you have that one checked off. And here you can select the color for it. I tend to use blue for my 50. You can change the thickness of the line. And the same for the 200 EMA. I'm showing that with the yellow. Maybe I wanted to make that a deeper yellow. And then I can choose my line thickness and how the opacity of that color, if I want it very deep or if I want it very light. Okay, now I'm going to check the chat just to make sure I haven't missed a question. Okay, great. All right, so here's one thing I want to start off with. When you're looking at your chart, and this is something that bit me actually earlier in the week. If you come to the bottom, you can see a zoom out and a zoom in button. So I'm going to click on the zoom out. Obviously, my candles are getting smaller. but this allows me to get a really good picture of what's really going on. Being able to zoom out. So it's great to zoom in at times. Let me go to another chart to see if I can find an example of what I want to tell you. No, USD CAD. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so if I'm on the hour, right now, it looks like price is in an uptrend, right? Let's see what happens when I zoom out. What do you know? So in the larger scope, price is actually in a downtrend, but the only way that you know that is if you do that zoom out. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. Let's head on back to EU. So in this case, our zoomed in view shows us a bit of a downtrend. Let me get rid of these trend lines. And this zoomed in sort of consolidation and then downtrend, it, for the most part, it matches our zoomed out view. But there are cases, as I showed with was that USD CAD, where if you don't zoom out, you may not get the full picture of what trend that you're actually in. So you guys know by now our general rule. When the candles are under the 50 moving average, that means we're going to sell. And when the candles are above the 50 moving average, then that means we're going to buy. What do we call this area here that price is in, where the 50 is just kind of going through the middle of the candles? What do we call that? Put it in the chat or just come off mute and say it. Does anyone know? Consolidation. Hi, Glenda. Excellent. And what do we do in consolidation? It's a trick question. The answer is absolutely nothing. We wait. Exactly. We wait for price to break out because we make, for the most part, the most money in a trending market. Doesn't matter if price is trending up or price is trending down, but we want to be able to identify a clear trend. So when you pull up TradingView and this is what you see, this is why it's good to have maybe more than one pair to look at, maybe 2 to 3, in case when you're in consolidation, you can go to your other pair, maybe odd JPY or Euro JPY, and take a look at another pair in terms for a recent trade that you can take. So what we want to do, I want to talk to you guys about one of my favorite things in trading, which is a trend line, and show you how you can make trades basically off your trend line. So we're not going to do the support and resistance, although that's absolutely fine and it's a great place to start. I want to show you that next step of how you can begin to determine your trades based off trend lines. So the tool that we're going to use is the trend line here. And basically what you want to do, you need 2 points to connect the trend line. And there you go. Now we're in consolidation at this point. So that's the bottoms. If I look at the top, then, and no, there's no wrong way to make a trend line. You're going to be connecting 2 points. So this just kind of highlights what we've already said. We are pretty much in consolidation. Now on this hour time frame, could you trade from the bottom trend line to the top? You could, because we're on the hour time frame. That's kind of a nice number of pips, because this is almost creating a channel. So if I right click, this is what I like to do a lot of times. If I right click on that trend line and I extend it to the right, this is going to help create that channel. And so I'll do the same thing here. Settings, extend it to the right. So now, if I wanted to, I may take a buy trade from that bottom trend line to the top. How many pips is that? And I'm kind of old school. I like to count pips the old fashioned way. There's a nice little ruler tool that'll do it for you. So I'll show you both ways. So let's see here. The trend line is around 1.1860. And near the top of the trend line, we're around approximately, let's say, 1985. So we're going to subtract. And when we do that, what do we get? So our pips are the fourth. When you have price that has 4 decimal places, then our pip is the last number, the fourth one. So if we subtract 985 minus 860, we get 125 pips. Now, how else can we determine the pip count? Let's see. I don't use this ruler tool, this measure tool very much. Let's see if we can get it to work. So if I drag it, oh, Tradingview, what did you do? Let's go back to Euro. So there's my ruler tool. And I'm going to, there we go, drag it from there to there. And so, yeah, roughly it's giving us 136. So we use slightly different points, but this number here tells us how many pips is from point A to point B. So you can do it the old fashioned way like me, where you actually do the math, or take the easy route and use this ruler tool. It's a little tricky to use sometimes. I like to just kind of do the subtraction. All right, so that's how you can count your pips. And yeah, a trade for 125 pips is definitely worthwhile. So that may be something that you can watch as the Asian session continues into London. And what you would be looking for, notice, and I'll use an arrow here. Notice how price rejects / respects this trend line. So when we say the candles are rejecting it, meaning it's going away from it, it's respecting it, it's treating that trend line as support, which we know is like the floor. The candles are standing on it. So when you see this type of rejection, and let me try to zoom in. When we see this type of rejection, that's an indication that we can buy from that support. Likewise, when you see rejection here at this line, this trend line is acting as resistance. These candles do not want to appear to be able to go through this zone, this resistance. You can think of resistance as a ceiling. Think about standing on the floor and raising up your hands and you can't either reach or you can't get through the ceiling. That's what this top trend line is doing. It's the ceiling for these candles. So there's rejection here, and notice that you can sell all the way. Well, no, you can take a sell. Price doesn't make it all the way to this zone yet. It comes back and does a retest and eventually makes it back here to where we are now. So just know when you're taking trades off the hour, the trades are, the higher the time frame, it's thought that the more solid the trade is. However, it's going to take some time. So if we're on this hour chart, and let's say we took this buy here, every candle is 1 hour. So let's count approximately how many candles we have from this entry to this TP. So let's make sure we capture that. Here's our entry. Trading from trend line to trend line or zone to zone, however you want to think of it. This is our TP. TP stands for take profit. So there are approximately, and I'm going to do just a very rough count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 60, okay, roughly 75 candles. So 75 hours, roughly 3 days that you were in this trade to go from your entry to your TP. So we talked a little bit about this last week. Those who do swing trades that may take a few days, the advantage is, what day was this? This was on March 21st. So on March 21st, you could have taken this setup and just a couple of times a day, once a day, check your phone. And then, no, I'm sorry, that was March 8th. And then on March 11th, it hit your TP because you have your parameters set. You would have had your stop loss here on the other side of this trend line. And you would have set your TP and you can set it and forget it. That's the advantage of being what they call a swing trader. You can place this trade, here, and 3 days later, you've made your money and not a lot of effort for a nice amount of pips. So I'm working my way up to this point. I'm more of a scalper myself, but there's something very peaceful and non-alarming about taking trades on the higher time frames. You don't really have to watch the chart as much. You want to make sure that you get your entry. Now, that's an issue that I had when I did trade off the 1 hour, is that you have this amount of time when price is at this trend line. What happens if you miss this entry? Right? So what can you do to make sure that you don't miss that entry? You can set an alert. So if I right click on this trend line, and so I want to know when Euro USD is going to cross this trend line, because that's close to my entry point. If I can get this alert, then I can bring up my trading view either on my laptop, computer, or on my phone. I've done it before on my phone. And I typically say every time price, not just once, but every time, and bar means candle. Bar is the same thing as candle. Every time Euro USD hits this trend line, I want you to tell me. So notify on app, it's a very loud, annoying beep. I choose not to do that. Show a pop-up, that's an option. Send email, I love that. And more actions, send email to text. So Tradingview sends me an email and a text message when price is going to hit this trend line. So create, and this little clock icon lets me know that I have an alert. And then I may do the same thing for this trend line. Add an alert on trend line. So when price or Euro USD is crossing this trend line, every time a candle does that, I want Tradingview to let me know. Now with the free version, I believe you get maybe 1 alert. I think it's 1 alert, 3 indicators. I may be wrong on that. So you could take advantage of having 1 alert if you're only on the free plan. But how valuable is this? So maybe you're going to experiment with taking trades off this higher time frame. You don't have to be glued to your trading view. You don't have to be glued to your phone. It will tell you when price gets here. Then you'll have, because it's on the hour, you have, some time to evaluate it and see when you're going to actually make your entry. Now, and we'll do one more thing before we close out. Let's go down to the 5-minute, because so right click reset chart. Anytime you move time frames and TradingView is showing weird, just do reset chart. Now, the trend line rule works on all the time frames. So we look to be in a downtrend here. We are under the 50. So I'm going to draw maybe a couple of trend lines. I'm going to draw one here. Now, in this case, I don't really want that line to be extended. So I'm going to do settings. I'm going to make sure that's gone away. Now I can control the trend line a little better. Okay, so there's a trend line. And looks like we're in consolidation here. So price is literally riding on this trend line that we had drawn on the hour. So this bottom trend line is one that we drew on the hour, and price is respecting it here. Where else would I draw a trend line? So, you know, because we're in that consolidation. Oh, TradingView. There we go. I can draw maybe a small one here. And, you know, price really isn't giving us much. So basically, we're going to wait for price to break out and either go in the up direction or continue down. But one thing is for sure is that on these smaller time frames, you don't have as much time. So you can set an alert, but if you're on these smaller time frames, you'll definitely have to make a decision a little quicker. Let's go to the 15-minute. Yeah, so if we had this trend line drawn here, we can see that price has broken it. It's not real when price breaks out of a trend line, it's not necessarily indicator to just jump right into the opposite trade. But if we got into the trade here, notice that the candles are below the 50. So if we got into our sell, then we had a pullback and it kind of touched the trend line again. It continued to fall, continued to fall. And now that price is sort of outside of this trend line, that would be my indication that maybe I want to get out of my sell. Not necessarily that I'm going to turn around and buy right now, but price breaking outside of this trend line is an indication that maybe the sell is over. And what I found is that a lot of times price likes to break out of a trend line, kind of consolidate up for a bit before it makes a new trend. All right, are there any questions?
I don't have any, Tasha. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Any other questions before we go? I will get this call recorded and placed on my YouTube channel by tomorrow, probably around noon. And I'll post that in our Impact Over Profits Telegram. All right, you guys, if there's nothing else, I will talk to you guys in the chats.
Have a good day.
Okay, you too.
Tasha, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Good night.